Okay, hi everyone. So I'm back. Um, as you can probably notice from my background, I'm back in Munich. And while I was driving to Munich, I had an interesting thought, I think. And I think someone did comment on one of my videos, something very similar. I just couldn't find the comment. The idea is that 10 years ago, for instance, right? The future was put in the hands of the younger generation, right? So in every commencement speech and every future forecast and any podcast, any media, you would hear that the next generation would be the one to be able to solve problems, the one that will inspire us, the one that will, change the world for the better. Now you don't hear that. So, I thought that can't be true, right? Because that's what I'm used to. So I remember certain commencement speeches, specifically the one from Steve Jobs at Stanford, who even he talks about, the younger people having trust in their decisions and, going on to do their life. But at the end, he was still talking about young people. Now, this hope is being replaced with AI, right? So now you're talking about AI and scientific discoveries. Why would you need scientists if you have AI who's accelerating that? Ironically, I'm building something like that, but again, not to push out the researcher from his field, but to empower him. But that's kind of like a different thing. Next thing, we want to use AI for everything, right? I mean, there are obviously companies that are not really keen on replacing everybody with AI, but there are stories out there where, young people, after doing the degree, even advanced degrees like master's and PhD, they can't find jobs. And I do think that the correlation between the job market and placing the future into the hands of younger generations, um, they do correlate because if you start thinking that, hey, we don't need young people, we don't like young people, frankly, we don't care about them, we generally don't care about them, right? Like the only thing that apparently you can profit from them in Germany is you can send them to war eventually. While you know that those people will never live probably a life in dignity, where they can own housing, where, they might do stuff that really works for them in terms of jobs. Um, so you see all that and you start to notice, well, how come we decided that young people are relevant when we have always been searching for solutions of our problems in their ideas? And we just start replacing them with a large language model, which was primarily trained on old people ideas that didn't work. Like they did not work out. If you look at current politics, you probably understand what I mean. Um, but the key idea here is that AI, currently on how it operates, is like a collection of old dead people telling you what to do. And I'm not quite sure whether, that puts a certain country into a pretty good position within the next 20 years if you neglect your young people in favor of AI. So that's what I was thinking. And to be fair, it's kind of depressing, you know, because if you were used to being the center of attention of a society in terms of young people, and you know that you're able to achieve things and you see that you're relevant, you do realize, or like you can start to understand why specifically my generation, Gen Z, has so little contempt for everything that their respective governments are doing and for everything specifically in the education system. So, you know what? I can elaborate on that. So, if you don't know, um, the Western public school systems, except for the Nordic countries, like um Scandinavian stuff, like all Scandinavian countries, except for them, they are seeing drops in terms of the PISA studies. Now, the PISA studies, they're kind of like studies designed to see how good kids and young people are doing in terms of academics. And I think they're doing it every 2 years, something like that. And turns out that for the several 6 years, like past years, these scores have been dropping significantly. Now, there are even reports, I can speak of Germany because I've read it, where you have fourth graders who are not able to read. That's the state of our education system. Again, if you think AI will like solve everything, you won't need young people. And then the thing that I don't understand is how can you expect young people, specifically in Western societies, because I feel like in Asia, um, there's so much more room for the young people. Like, not in all countries, but I have a feeling, they have essentially free education, they have amazing scholarships. You can't really say that about every European country. They have leaders, essentially, who care about them. Like, they care about their people. China just said recently that Europe has an issue with bringing people into like systems of power that really don't care about you. Yeah, I don't know how that happens. Like, that's an interesting topic to explore, but also different side note. Anyways, I rambled enough. Point is, if you don't need young people, don't expect them to be of help if you need them. And that becomes a pretty big part for, the demographic changes. People are getting older. You need to raise taxes. People, younger people, they're not going to enjoy a life like their parents, maybe. So I think a lot of what will happen, like a lot of these young people, they'll just go. I don't think a lot of people have developed a sense of belonging in Western countries. They'll just go if you raise taxes. They'll go if you notice that you have no issue putting them to your service because of your unfinished politics business. They don't mind going. And I think if you choose AI over young people, that's what you're signing up for. And that's it. I hope it was interesting. It was not really data backed, to be fair. Um, I do apologize about that one. And that's it. I think see you for tomorrow, or maybe in 2 days. Depends on my capabilities to do these videos. Oops.